Hi, I'm Divya and welcome back to my channel. I have a super fun wall decor project for you guys today. The supplies that I've used in this project are an MDF base. This is an MDF plaque, some metal hooks, decoupage napkin, gesso, acrylic gel medium, acrylic paints, a stencil and modeling paste, round and flat brushes, stamps and archival ink, a wood varnish. All the supplies that I've used, I will leave a link in the description box below the video. Unfortunately for the metal hooks, I don't have a link for them. I bought them on one of my holidays, so I don't have a link for them, but I'm sure you will find some similar hooks in your local stores. The very first step is applying gesso as a base coat. I like using gesso as my base coat. You could use acrylic white or chalk paints or spray, acrylic spray paints as a base coat. I did this off camera. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that my camera was off. I didn't gesso the back because it's going up against a wall, so I've just used the base coat on the front of the plaque. It's time to pick a napkin. I left the camera on just so that you see me deliberating which napkin to use and what would look nice with these beautiful white hooks. This takes up a lot of my time, and I thought you might find it interesting as well. So I picked the napkin I liked. I had already used a piece of it in some other project, so I just have one side, a small piece of it left. But this is any regular tissue that you see, which has four sides. I like all the sides of my tissue to be hand torn. I don't like the sharp edge that comes from the cut that the napkin comes with. So I like to tear all the sides. I just find this easier to blend with. I just find that the tissues are easier to blend if they're hand torn on all sides. You could tear it with your hand if you have sharp nails. I don't, so sometimes I struggle tearing off small bits. So I use a small round brush and wet just the areas that I want to tear, and you'll see that it comes off very easily. If you're doing this, if you're trying this, remember to use a thin brush. And not a lot of water. Decoupage napkins. These napkins come in 2 or 3 ply. Make sure to remove the extra layers. You don't want to use all of the layers. That's a mistake that beginners make. Make sure to use only the top printed layer. Once I have the napkin in place, I'm just using some acrylic gel medium to glue it down. You could use any decoupage glue that you have. I generally use acrylic gel medium or a Mod Podge by Glade. Hold the napkin in place, decide where you want it to go, and then start applying glue in long strips. I find that better instead of random application of glue. I like to use very little glue and in long vertical stripes. I find that this gives me the best results in terms of wrinkles and bubbles. My hands are sweaty sometimes, so I keep an extra piece of tissue lying around, so I could just use that when I feel my hands are getting sticky. It's important to seal the edges. Like I said, I like working in thin, long strips. Once I have the glue, I put the napkin over it and flatten it out either with my hand or a piece of tissue. I have seen some crafters use a cling film or a plastic wrap for this, a plastic film for this, and that works as well. I ensure that all the four sides are nicely glued down. A little bit of that white base is showing, but that's okay. I will paint that and that'll be covered. I just finished gluing down those two sides, and I'll glue the last one as well. I'm just, and like I said, I'm just ensuring that the edges are properly sealed. This is what it looks like. It's nicely glued and ready for the next step. The next step is to paint the remaining base, a color that is complementing a color which is very similar to the napkin. You will see me struggle for a long time. I was not able to get the right shade. That happens sometimes. Sometimes some projects I get them with the very first. I get the right shade with the very first at the very first attempt. But sometimes it takes a long time. So I left the video on just to show you how I struggled, and I was finally able to get a good match, and I thought it looked nice in the end. Let me know what you guys thought. This video is very lengthy because I think maybe we have a lot of footage of me trying out the paint shades. Like I said, I wanted to keep that in just to show you that some designs and some napkins are easier, and some are easier than the other, and some do take a lot of time. If you don't find this interesting, you could just skip ahead and you could see me work on the next step. I worked on this maybe in the month of June or July. I shot the video, but I just haven't had a chance to edit. I just had some time. I was just able to do it, and so you might have seen me putting up some work in progress pictures on my Instagram and Facebook, but you didn't see a finished project. Some of you had asked me about it, but I didn't post a picture back then. I wanted to show you a full proper video tutorial. Once I had the main background color painted, you'll see me use a thin round brush to add in some details. I am adding in I am painting any leftover background areas. I'm also going to add any details. I'm also going to paint over any details that my flat brush might have painted over. So if there's a napkin and let's say the seat of the bicycle in this case, or the flowers in the basket, or the leaves of the flowers in the basket, if my brush ran over it while I was doing the base coat, I just paint in the details on the top, just so that it looks complete and doesn't look like my paint ate away into the main design. Sometimes, so that's one reason why I use it, why I do this. The second reason is sometimes the napkin just ends abruptly. The design on the napkin ends abruptly, like the tire of that cycle. It just stopped there in the napkin, and I'm just going to. It's a fairly simple design I can imitate. So I just you'll see me just add in a little bit of paint to make it look like the tire was going all the way to the bottom. These little details don't look like much, but they add in a lot of they build up to look really nice. And the projects look really well finished, and most of the time you won't be able to tell where the paper ended and where the paint has begun. It gives you a very seamless flawless finish, if there's such a thing. So this step is absolutely not mandatory. It is optional. It is something that I do. I have seen a lot of videos online where they don't do this, and that doesn't mean it's a wrong way or the right way to do it. It's just my personal preference, and if you like my work and my style of work, then you could give this a try. And if you don't, and you just want to have fun and not spend too much time worrying about details, you don't have to do this step at all, and the project will still look really nice. So I have added in all the details. I love adding paint splatters on my projects. And I usually pick 2 or 3 colors from the tissue and splatter them all around the project just to bring everything together. I'm using a nice beautiful shade of pink and beige for this one. You could use a toothbrush or a thin round brush for this. You just need to water down your paints and add some splatters. I like using a thin round brush as opposed to a toothbrush because I have more control with a normal round small brush. Toothbrush sometimes splatters in a big, just sprays a big blob of color, which I really don't like and I can't control. So you won't see me use toothbrush a lot. So splatter is done. I just give it a few minutes to dry, and I'll be using some modeling paste and a script stencil for this project. I find this brand of modeling paste slightly more running. So what I generally tend to do is I take some out on a piece of paper, leave it be for a few minutes, so the extra moisture in the modeling paste is soaked in, and then I get a cleaner, crisper finish. I get a cleaner, crisper impression from my stencils. You don't probably have to do this for every texture or modeling paste available in the market. I have seen that this particular brand, both gesso and modeling paste, are very runny. You could use a spatula, you could use a palette knife, you could use a credit card or a gift card. You'll see me use my finger. Sometimes I just prefer that. So I taken some generous amount of modeling paste and apply it where I think it would look nice. The modeling paste is from Montmartre. This is an Australian brand, if I'm not wrong, and I bought it online from Itsy Bitsy. I will leave a link to that as well. The stencil is from an Indian craft store. The brand is Gesso Craft, again Australian. But again, I bought that at a store here locally. I will try and leave the stencil is at least 3 years old, so I'm not sure if the same one is available. But a lot of brands do have script stencils available if you want to achieve the same kind of look. The modeling paste maybe took me 30-40 minutes to dry, and once it's dry, it was a beautiful raised white script. It looked lovely. There were some bits of text that I didn't get a good impression of in the bottom bit of the plaque. You could, while it is still wet, you could take a wet wipe and wipe it clean. If it has dried like it has in my case, you could maybe just run over some paint on it. I really didn't mind it much, so I just let it be. I love this part and this is definitely, and this is totally optional. You guys don't have to do this, but if you like stamps and you like collecting art supplies and stationery like me, then having stamps and inks is a very good idea in your stash. Then having stamps and inks in your stash is a very good idea. I will leave a link to these. The stamps that you see here, I bought them from the US, from Simon Says Stamp, but a lot of these are now available in India as well. I'll try and leave some links to maybe not the same stamps, but something similar to them. The ink I'm using is a brown archival ink. This is a permanent ink, and it won't fade off or wipe off with varnish or anything. Once the stamp, the ink dries instantaneously, so you could immediately apply. You could immediately go ahead with the next step. I am applying a layer of gel medium on all of it, on the entire base, just to secure everything. You could again here you could use Mod Podge, you could use any type of decoupage glue that you have. I had gel medium lying around, and I like gel medium, so I just used I just applied a thin even coat of gel medium. At this point you would want to apply a layer of varnish to secure everything. But sometimes you might find your decoupage napkin might be lifting off from the surface. If that's the case, you could use a spray varnish to kind of secure that, to let it adhere onto the surface, and then use a varnish, a wood varnish in the end. My napkin was not doing that. My napkin was securely in place to begin with, so I'm just using some gel medium to just to varnish over everything. I diluted some of that darker brown, grey brown shade, and I'm adding some shadow under the text just to add the illusion of depth. I could have totally done this before varnishing, before the previous step. I just didn't think of it then. So if you're doing this, then you could finish this step and then varnish. I wanted to distress the project a little bit, so I used my finger and some dry paint and just rubbed it along the edges a little bit. I just wanted to distress the entire project. So you'll see me do that with some dark gray and some dark pink maroon as well. And like I said, this can totally be done before varnish. You could leave the varnish step to the very end of your project. Once I distressed the base, I realized that those white hooks looked a little too white. So I thought I'll just antique them a little bit. So I used some antique gold wax by Prima. I used a little bit on them and just buffed it with a clean cloth. So there was a little bit of that wax left in the grooves, and that added to the entire effect. I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but one of the hooks is antiqued and the other is not. There is a very light tint of grey brown on the waxed hook. Once that's done, I am going to apply a layer of wood varnish as a final sealant. I'm using Asian Paints Aquador. This is a this is a water-based varnish. It's odorless and dries really fast, and this is one of my favorite products. You will see me use this in all my projects. If you don't have this, you could use any PU-based PU varnish, any top coat varnish that you can find in your hardware store. once the varnish was done, I let it dry for a couple of days, and then I drilled the hooks into the MDF block. The hooks were a normal steel color. Once they were in place, I painted them with a white chalk paint, and since they were again too white in comparison to the hooks, I added a little bit of wax just so that they could match the hooks. And that's it. Here are some of the work in progress and the finished pictures. This plaque was a present for my cousin who's living in Australia. I was not sure of what kind of hooks she would prefer, so I didn't get anything done. So I didn't do anything myself. I just gifted her the plaque and asked her to get the hook of her preference, depending on where she wanted it in her house, so she got that done back in Australia. But you could get any simple hook at the back, and it'll be ready to go up on your wall. I hope you had fun, and please let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this session, and I will see you again soon. Thank you. Bye bye. Hi, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I wanted to do a small quick giveaway on my YouTube channel. I didn't have any of the white hooks with me, but I do have some the similar ones with the same exact hooks in different colors, and I thought I would give these two pairs away to any creative folks out there who are interested. These are wrought iron hooks. I'll be shipping 2 pairs out to creative folks out there who are interested. If you unfortunately I can't ship outside India at the moment, so I'm just shipping for creative folks in India. So if you're from India and you like the project, and if you would like to try the hooks in a project of your own, then just leave me a comment in the comment section below this video. Just let me know if you like the video, if you like to win these hooks, and how you would want to maybe use these hooks. What I'll do is say 15 days from now, today is the 30th, so maybe 15th of November, I'll pick 2 random winners and send out these hooks to them, and I'm hoping to do more of these giveaways, so that I could share the all that stationery and art supplies that I hoard. I'd love to share and see how you guys use it in your work. And that's it. So leave me a comment below, and I will pick a winner, and I will announce on my Facebook and Instagram page. Thanks guys. Bye bye.